I've got scars where you can't see them, but if you could, you'd see the roadmap of my heart. All those lines and intersections where you'd think the whole damn thing would come apart. That's not how it works. That's not the road of hurt. You lose until you win. You don't fail, you learn, you rise, you try again. Start to give more than you take. Don't make as many of the same mistakes. Heart aches, hell, while the wound is open. But give it time, and you'll find that you're stronger where you're broken.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Skip Ewing, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Musical Miles Podcast.
Thanks.
I'm your host, Byron Duffin, and we are here in Logan, Utah at the Cache Valley Cowboy Rendezvous. And this is Mr. Ewing is headlining the show tonight. And we're excited that you have time to sit down and visit with us a little bit, talk about your music career, and because you've been in this game a long time, 40 plus years.
Not quite.
Not quite?
Not quite. But
okay.
I have been in it a while. That's
you,
true. I went to Nashville right out of high school.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, and before that, I started playing guitar when I was 4 and just never stopped. Don't remember a time that I wasn't playing. Don't remember asking for a guitar, but I did. And then I played everything, classical to jazz, and then country, and then bluegrass, and then I just followed wherever I could. So right out of high school, I got offered a job in Nashville, and away I went.
Yeah, you've been there since you were like 18 years old, right? What about 1980?
85. 85 is when I got my publishing deal, and the first song I had recorded was with George Jones, and
oh wow,
it just kept going, and then I got offered a record deal, and then after that I was writing songs and had just a lot of artists, enjoy what I was writing and record them, and we ended up having hits, and of course that went on for a while, and then I took a break from Nashville because I was learning so much from horses, and so I sold everything in there. I sold my house, I sold my furniture, I just put the other stuff I had in a storage unit and went on the road because I found that if I was really working with horses with the intention of deeply understanding that and becoming more skillful, I was learning a lot about me. From every horse I was working with, and I couldn't pass it up. It's almost like a spiritual pursuit for me. I felt like if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be making my best efforts at being the human I wanted to be, if that makes any sense. So I did that, and then I met my wife, and then we moved to Wyoming, and then I had a bit of time, and while I was there, that's about 8 years of horses, and I played some on the way, but I wasn't, and then went, I started messing with writing some stuff, and then Linda was like, "You need to put the journeys together." So I messed with it some and was going to make a few records for fun, and all of a sudden it just took off, and people liked what I was doing. I was writing by myself and not for other artists, and here we are with records on the radio and an upcoming album called Dragonfly.
Well, that song you just played for us is going to be on the new album.
It's a duet with May Estes.
May
In fact,
Estes.
It's already out.
Yeah, we've listened to it, love it. I'm a big fan. I think May's going to be the next big thing for women in country, I think.
I just think whether she does or doesn't, she deserves.
Oh yeah.
I call her a superstar anyway. Whether she's the next big thing, I just hope that she is supported in a way that gives her a sustainable and long-lasting career, because she's an incredible singer. She's got a super sweet heart about her,
and $1 million personality.
Yeah, she's the whole package.
Yeah.
And she's, by the same token, she's quite country with a traditional leaning.
Yeah.
In fact, the song I just played is kind of pushing the envelope for her, but I just knew she would sing it Well, because it's pretty new, what, the way we
Sure.
have that produced, and she, I mean, she just rose to the occasion.
Yeah.
God love her. She, I mean,
What a
so
talent. Well, let's back up a little bit. A couple of things because you and I have in common the horse thing. So I picked up a guitar at 15 and a rope, and I opted for the rope, and then I started playing the guitar again a couple of years ago. But I spent the majority of my career in sales and marketing and in the ag industry, but I love horses, and I totally understand where you're coming from when you talk about becoming a better person and a better horseman, and learning. And you learn a lot from horses. And so, what a cool time in your life to experience that. Did you have that experience as a young adult? I know your family, military family, right? So you traveled around quite a bit as a kid.
yeah, my grandfather was the horseman,
Okay.
and he wasn't actually even my real grandfather.
Okay.
But he was a thoroughbred rancher in Southern California. So whenever I could, I wanted to go down there. I loved him. He was like John Wayne to me.
Sure.
He's the one who taught me about westerns and all that. But he 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 was the kind of guy who he we didn't get to ride. These were thoroughbreds,
Right.
so they ran at Santa Anita and those kinds of things. So I learned a lot about caring for him. He's the kind of guy who would, I know we don't have a lot of time, but you'll like the story.
I love the
He
stories.
used to bring, when I was a little kid, he made sure I had boots, cowboy boots to
Sure.
wear when I was out there. And he was pretty, he was pretty cowboy, even though he was a thoroughbred ranch manager,
Sure.
right? And he would go and he would take a flatbed cart and he would put a row of hay on it and then stair step it from the back to the front so it got higher, so I could get way up high, because feeding these thoroughbreds had those chute feeders. You may have seen them. They're just basically at the top of the fence. They come down like this, at bars in front of them, and you can put the hay down in the, and whatever else you're feeding them, grain or, and and he would do that. My grandmother would hand me out the kitchen window to him, where he'd pulled the cart up, and that way I could get on the hay, right? I could get on the hay and get all the way up near the top, where I could still reach to get in and drop that hay down in the field. And he, so I fell in love with horses, but didn't get to ride. I was there for, some birthing and foaling, and it was, so I loved it, but then I didn't do anything with it for years. Started going to Wyoming in like 2000, I think. It was the first time I went there, and I fell in love with the country. I landed there and went, this is where, if I put roots down here, I'll grow the strongest tree. That's what that felt like to me.
Sure.
So, it took me a long time to do that.
Yeah.
But because I had so much other stuff to do. But
well, we can appreciate we live 90 miles from Jackson Hole. This is where our home is. So we can see the Tetons from our backyard on a good clear morning. So, but that is beautiful country, and you live closer to Du Bois, which I've announced the Du Bois Rodeo a couple of times years ago. But so I've been in that country, and it is beautiful.
We could have driven the ATV down to see.
Yeah.
It takes a while, but it's not fun about Du Bois. We finally figured out that, man, it's really fun, because we live pretty far out from
town.
From town. Yeah. People don't.
Well, town's a long ways from here.
They always say, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky, you're so great," and I'm like, well, it's a trade-off, though. Because if you want pizza delivered to you, if you want Asian food, that's important to you. This is probably not where you want to live.
No.
If you don't know how to fix stuff and care for livestock, and well, you probably don't want to live here. But if you like the rest,
and if you can handle those 30 below winters and 8 foot of snow, right? And it's been a little light this winter, but
we don't get that much snow in Du Bois. I don't know how much you guys will get. Some more up
high where we're at in the valley, where we're along the Snake River. We're 200 yards off the Snake River. So this winter we've had virtually none. So
that's a beautiful spot, man. That's beautiful. You can't really find. I actually like all of Wyoming. I mean, you go farther south, the joke is it's just antelope and sagebrush.
Right.
But there's a lot more to it than that, because just the kind of people that are in Wyoming, you start to come up, and of course Du Bois gets into the high desert, striated hills just before you get up into Togadee.
Yep.
Togadee Pass that goes over to the southern entrance to Yellowstone, and man, if I had the choice, I still wouldn't live anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky, because that is a beautiful place. You did almost 20 years in Nashville, is that right? Probably close to that. So At what point, Skip, do you think you really realized that you'd made it in the music business? Today's episode of Musical Miles Podcast is brought to you by Roper Apparel and Footwear. Whether you're chasing songs, loading gear, or standing front row at a live show, Roper blends Western tradition with modern comfort and style. Built tough, worn proud, and ready for every mile. Roper, wear the West. You could make a living at it. Was it immediately, or did it take a couple of years? Because they say it's a 10-year town, right?
I've never heard that. They might.
You've never heard that?
I've never heard
Really?
It's a 10-year town.
Yeah.
I'm going to field that question differently because I don't know what making it is.
Oh, well.
I mean, when people say that you make it, because,
sure.
So, and I'm saying that as a way to maybe describe the vantage point. It's like, did I make it when I got signed to a publishing deal? Did I make it when I had my first #1 record? Did I make it after I finished working all this Horseman stuff and put together this new record? And now I'm singing with ERNEST and I'm doing stuff in the studio and producing other records. And I just had a hit with Lainey Wilson and ERNEST. Have I made it? And I gotta say, I just think it's the same river, man. It's all connected. There's no going up to the made it stop sign and turning left or right.
True story, and I love that perspective because in all reality, those things, success is all perception, right? Whether it's success in your bank account that affords you the opportunity to do things that you couldn't do unless you had some success.
Successful.
You're not getting to do what you want. I don't believe that because you've had 11 #1s and you just brought one up. I love the story about Lainey Wilson and ERNEST with the song that they just released, in 24? Is that right, when they cut that? But it's just now on the radio, really.
It's been cut. The thing is that they cut a series of it. You see, Lainey Wilson cut one version for Apple Music. It was specific only to Apple.
Okay.
And that was put out. But it wasn't a radio. You couldn't listen to it on Spotify. You could only listen to it on Apple.
Right.
And in the meantime, ERNEST had discovered the song at the same time, and since it wasn't a sort of something they could release everywhere, well, ERNEST asked Lainey if she'd do a version with him, so they sang a duet on his record of it, and then he wanted to put it out as a single, only Lainey's record company already had her with a single out, so they couldn't release the single together, so ERNEST waited and then put it out as his single. Well, this means that song is going on for... And
it's had a life of its own.
And they played Lainey and ERNEST's version on most of the radio, and it was on. Well, I mean, it was on the charts for 50s. I mean,
almost a full year.
If it wasn't a year, it was on there for, and that's in the top. The top of it wasn't a #1 record. It didn't. I don't even know if it got to the top 20, but the plays on it were as much as a #1 record because it just played and played.
Well, it had a life of its own, but the rest of the story is you wrote that song in 1996. Is that correct?
Yeah.
With Dean Dillon, and that's the only collaboration you ever did with Dean.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
What a song, though. And but here's the interesting thing that most people don't understand about songwriters, that we love about the songwriter story, is the backstory. Like that, a song that was written in 1996 that really didn't get recognition until 2024, and it's had 3 different iterations of that song. And what a beautiful song, And why? We've interviewed lots of songwriters. Bryce Long had a cut that he said, nothing on but the radio for Gary Allan that sat for 5 years. And multiple other ones. He told me a story about Bobby Braddock had one that George Strait just cut that's almost 30 years old. So, how crazy is that? And most people don't understand that about your catalog, how wide and deep that catalog is, and the life that gets breathed back into it with a song like that.
Well, people are surprised that a song, would still be viable after a certain amount of time, right? And my approach is that I want to write songs that stand up to time. So even there's songs that have been recorded, like hits that have been recorded, that are still getting a lot of play on radio, that I wrote in the 90s, or really when I was really getting to it was in the early 90s was when but you think how many covers there are of country songs, and maybe they've been cut, maybe you knew them, or even, pop songs that are then covered by someone else. The song is still the song. The
Right.
approach to the song is different, and I feel like we did a good job writing that song, and it held up when they came at it. And what everyone I think was surprised about on things like that is that it was unquestionably country.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
not anyone who's going to listen to that song and go, "That's not a you know what I should do for you." Because a lot of people will say there's no there's no traditional country now. There is no country music. People will say that and say that certain artists are not country artists and what. My arms are around the art form.
Yeah.
And there's other things about country music than whether it has a fiddle and a steel in it. You can put fiddle and steel on a lot of stuff, and that doesn't mean somebody's going to say that's a country song. And there are pop records that are made that now sound like country songs. So, but I think what it is that we have to, just like we should with other people that we respect, we should have a respect for the ancestry of what we do. We should have there's a growth and development. There has been since the beginning. I mean, there was a time when the Grand Ole Opry didn't let drums on there.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, there was a time where drums were not allowed on the Grand Ole Opry, and there's funny stories like that. But this is really, really country, and the song we're talking about. And you wouldn't think of it like that, but then when they discover it, even Lainey said, "And isn't she sweet?" She said I was one of the greatest writers ever. I haven't even met her, but I just want to hug her.
Are you serious? You've never met?
I just want to hug her neck for that. No, I haven't met her.
What a cool lady.
I've only texted with Ernest. I've never met him either.
Oh, my goodness.
But the song we're talking about, it says, "You say that you would like to try again. You want me to open my heart and let us back in. Well, part of me wants to so bad I can't stand it. But part of me don't. To be perfectly candid, I would if I could. But I can't, so I won't. But I want to. I'd love to say yes, but it's best if I don't, though I'd like to. I love you enough that I'm letting you go. I love you so much that I'm telling you no, I would if I could. But I can't, so I won't, but I want to. And that's just, that to me, that's a country song.
That is a country song.
And it's still played on radio now, but I believe it all belongs. It all belongs.
Oh, I think there's my mom used to say there's a lid for every pot, right? So regardless, no matter who's playing, we're headed to a music fest next week. There's 100 bands, everything from EDM to country. And there will be thousands of people there, called Tree Fort in Boise, Idaho. And 90% of that music isn't really my kind of music, but guess what? I have a real appreciation for live music. There's no replacing a live music experience, in my opinion. We can listen to you on the radio, Skip, and as we came today, we listened to your music. It's so hard for us to listen over and over to something because we always have something new on the agenda, right? A new artist or whatever. But that being said, music speaks to all of us differently, but live music really, really speaks to us. For 44 years, we've chased live music experiences from Florida to Mexico to Hawaii. We just love live music. And so for us to be able to sit here with you and experience that, wow.
Well, I appreciate you for the invite. And however, if I don't go do sound check for this Cache Valley Cowboy Rendezvous, they're not ever going to invite me back.
Yeah.
And I'd like to play here again, so I might have to go and do that.
I don't blame you. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Once again, it's always fun to get to meet someone new. We'd love to meet artists like yourself. you have such a vast catalog of music, and love going down that road today, listening to it, because lots of good memories.
Well, thanks, man.
So anyway,
It's nice to meet y'all.
Well, we appreciate you coming. Hey, for Musical Miles Podcast, I'm your host, Byron Duffin, here with Mr. Skip Ewing from Logan, Utah at the Cache Valley Cowboy Rendezvous. We'll see y'all somewhere down the road. Adios for now. Thank you.
Yeah.